Okay guys, come a little closer. In this video I'll share with you guys exactly how I made over 1 million streams on Spotify. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Divin and I actually make music for a living now. So my goal is to inspire other producers like yourself to kickstart your careers and perhaps even eventually go full-time making music yourself. So you definitely want to hit subscribe for more helpful tips and insights if your goal too is to make music your job. So the first thing we're looking into is the importance of understanding the market and your exact position on it. The second step is doing your research before making an actual product. Think before you act, sort of. And then finally, the importance of collaborating with others, artists, independent labels and such. And then the actual strategies that I've applied, the actual steps I took to get to my first 1 million streams. So step number 1. Understanding the market and your exact position on it. Or as I'd like to call it, understanding your own tunes, your own music. I had a super inspiring conversation with my friend T. Peters yesterday, a super talented rapper.
Pancakes with ice cream or lemon in them.
You might know him from the Jazz Rap playlist on Spotify. We talked about how as artists, we don't really like to put ourselves into boxes, like, you know, musical genres or any types of like putting a label on what we actually do. And that's cool. I mean, but then again, think how I started out this video. I said, hi, I'm Divin and I'm a lo-fi producer. Do I 100% feel connected to the term lo-fi? Listening to my music, it doesn't like resemble a classic type of lo-fi beat back when the genre came up, but it's a good way to like give you kind of an understanding of what I do. If you want to actually sell your music, you got to tell people what you're selling them, right? And if you want to make 1 million streams on Spotify, it's like selling a product. People need to know what they're buying. In a supermarket, you also have labels and product alleys. You don't go around looking for apples and apples are like, nah, we don't want to put a label on ourselves. We're like fruits, but we're also like kind of refreshing. So you'll find us in the lemonade section. Sorry for that terrible example, but you get the point. And for your music to be successful, you need to do the same thing. You need to put a label on it, at least when pitching your music to Spotify. In case you didn't know, when releasing your music on Spotify, you can actually pitch it to their editors so that they listen to it, hopefully, and might consider it for editorial playlist consideration. And that's sort of like where all of this is going. In the end, you want to get on playlists. So that's how I make a living. I'm on playlists. By the way, let me know if you want me to make a video where I show you guys exactly how I am pitching my music so that you can sort of learn from that on how to do it properly. And for that, the first step is to understand what kind of music you make and for what playlist this music is going to be for. So listen to the playlists. I'm not saying copy the music that's on the playlist, but like make music that fits on your favorite playlist or on some playlist that you think this is where I fit. And then make them understand that that's what your music is for. Just look, is there already an audience for that kind of music that I want to make or that I'm already making? And then pitch it as that. Nothing else. Number 2, be a smart investor. What? Be a smart investor and save valuable time and resources by doing research before making an actual product. That's after all what big companies do. Big companies don't put out like physical products if they're not expecting sales from it. And hey, whoa. I'm not saying sell out, you know? But what I'm saying is like, think about it like that. Companies invest money into research and development, as well as costs to like actually produce a physical product. You yourself, you invest time and perhaps even money into your music, probably. I mean, we all have like computers and controllers and headphones, things that inspire us. And you buy things like sample packs that sort of shape your sound. All that costs money. And then there's time. Way more valuable even. Let me say what I said before. Be a smart investor. Invest your time and your money right. So remember, our goal with all of this is to make 1 million streams. Streams translated to money and money into time and financial independence. Well, sort of. So don't get me wrong, making music is also not just creating a product. It's also something that's hopefully highly enjoyable to you as it is to me. Like I can just like zone out, relax, you know, sort of digest everything that's up in here. But if your goal is to make 1 million streams, be smart with your resources. And your resources are, as always in life, money and time. So be smart where you invest your time and money into if you expect a return of investment, like 1 million streams. By the way, if you're still wondering when we're tying all this together and really like get this whole thing into the market, make sure to listen all the way to the end. We're like sort of wrapping it all up with a clear strategy and putting a bow on top. So to finish up this chapter, I want to say this. Find a good balance between working market-oriented and creating with love and passion. They can both coexist easily. Now, all of this is coming from me, some guy that you just met on the internet. So let me finish this with a quote from Questlove. He says on his book or audiobook, Creative Quest, he says,
"Art doesn't have to be something you do only behind closed doors for personal spiritual gain. But it also isn't simply a product-based process that's at the mercy of the market. I live and work at the intersection of art and commerce."
So summing up, I think it's important to just be aware of the way you use your time and your resources. You can buy all sorts of gear and do all sorts of things, but in the end, stay focused on what you do. Try out new things, certainly, because you need to stay inspired, obviously, but find out what works for you. Great. And be a smart investor with your own time. Because let me get to the gist of it. If you want to get to 1 million streams, you got to release a lot of music. You got to release a lot of music in order to have that chance to be considered for a playlist again and again. And I'll leave it at that. If you got questions about that, let me know down in the comments. By the way, if you're finding these tips on this video interesting and helpful, please take a second, give me a thumbs up on this video. And like that, you're returning the favor to me and you're being very helpful to me. So I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so last and definitely not least, one of the single most helpful steps on your journey towards 1 million streams is you can't do this alone. But you can collaborate with others. And I'm talking about artists and I'm talking about independent labels. When you look at my streams, most of my tracks I actually have tons of streams like Indigo and Coastal Drift. They are collaborations with other artists. I mean, now you might be wondering, but yo, that one that has actually 1 million streams, 1.5 almost, that top track called Blossoms, that's actually just me. No label, no other artists, just dive in. That's right, but my path to getting there was thanks to collaborating with other artists and independent labels in part. So just imagine you're a Spotify editor, you're sitting there, you see a name popping up, you're like, sounds cool, never heard of that kid. I might pass, but I'll look out for that person. 2 weeks later, you see another track popping up and that kid actually has a collaborator, which you're like, interesting. And you're like, cool, I might feature that actually. And that's how it went for me. So that said, let's dive straight into how I started out. And I'm gonna give you a quick rundown over the steps that I took. So in my first year releasing music as a producer, it was 2019, I started by making 1 beat every month. It sounded like a lot at the time. Now I'm actually at 2 beats a month. But I was like, if I want to take this seriously, I gotta invest my time smart. I was still learning in the process, But I thought, while I'm still sitting here and learning, I might as well release that music and just see where it takes me, People can actually hear what I'm doing and, get interested in working with me. So I was kind of figuring out on the go while actually already releasing music, how to get my sound where I wanted to be, which I'm, by the way, still doing at this point. But I always had one really clear goal, and that was that I wanted to get on the Jazz Vibes playlist on Spotify and the Beatstrumentals playlist on Apple Music. So these two playlists were always basically there. So whatever I made, I wanted to make it fit into those playlists. And I think that's the most crucial thing to do, because otherwise we're making cool things. I mean, yeah, probably these beats are cool, but if you don't have a clear goal in mind, if you don't have a market in mind, remember those first things that I said. If you don't know what you're making and for which market you're making it, you're just sort of pointlessly floating around in space. And I'm not saying pointless as in it's pointless to have fun. That's super important to stay creative, but it's pointless sort of, and you're really, really leaving it up to fate if you want to be successful on Spotify. And guess what my 2 first editorials were, both on Apple Music, Beatstrumentals, and on Spotify. Jazz Vibes. No, that's actually not true. Actually, I was featuring Mellow Beats first. Okay, but that was a stepping stone. And then after that came Jazz Vibes. And by the way, That track is still playing on Mellow Beats 1.5 years later. But the important thing is to get the ball rolling. It took me, after my first release in actually late 2018, to getting on that playlist in June 2020. It took me over a year to get there. And it wasn't within that first year where I was releasing every month in 2019. It was the year after, the summer of the year after, that it actually worked out. So don't give up. Have those 3 principles that I talked about in the beginning in mind. There's no shortcut, but now you know. Now you know what I did to get my first 1 million streams. And at this point, I'm running an independent label myself, actually. So quick shout out to my label, Musa Records. The cool thing about us is that we're donating half of our income as a label to environmental organizations doing good in the world. And we also just had our first Spotify editorial playlist feature as a label with our 4th release, actually. So if you produce chill, jazzy, lo-fi hip-hop, jazz rap, mellow, soulful, indie music, feel free to send me an email. You'll find our email down in the description below. Now, before we get to the end of this video, please let me know, what did I miss? What didn't I talk about? What's the things you want me to say in this video, but I didn't say it? I plan to make a whole lot more videos like that, so definitely let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos. Like the next ones I got planned is how I make money as a lo-fi artist. I recently quit my actual job and I'll be sharing with you guys how I make sustainable living. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.